People look familiar. Yeah, there she is. Oh, there she is. She's the only one that hasn't changed though.
The first 4 years, yeah, the first 4 years I was just coming in Canada because of my aptitude, because of my determination. I made rank very regularly. I made E5, staff sergeant for 4 years. 4 years. I wanted to be assistant on commission. Teaching third-year medical residents and starting my license. Okay, but then I went into this small subspecialty program and hired 15 people in the entire Air Force. Starting with pulmonary cardiology. Basic cardiology, non-basic pulmonary function studies went through further. And then when I opened these focused on testing, service, and data, I was a civilian credential. I got my credentials and walked into the civilian market. So Uncle Sam was very good at that. Yeah. The fifties. Well, it was Jeff Deaconess at the time.
Yes.
Okay, how has it been as long as it's been? I feel like this was yesterday. Sitting on the drive.
Yeah, regular women's is where I was. It was actually called the Boston Body and I got somebody pissed off at me because I just had to take it. She said, why the hell did you come see me first? Because I was going on referrals from the medical business in Boston. So one of my good friends and neighbors was practicing.
No, it's not good for mom. No. Every now and then last night.
Yes, she just parked anywhere she wanted to, right outside.
Oh my freaking God!
Because they all walk by.
I'm sorry. Are you kidding me? Why didn't you say anything? Oh my God!
Worried about.
Came from Iowa. I heard her.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
You want a sample?
Ah!
We didn't know.
This is my head cookie.
You were meant to meet me.
Oh, I'm just gonna hug you too. Oh my God! Are you okay? We're spending the weekend. I said we're going to Jersey. I heard Dave has a job. I know. Oh, be here. Well, recreating, that was one of the things. I know, I just told you. We don't have the cricket stuff though.
Debbie.
Yeah. We got this.
You gotta have kids.
We probably need to make more, but we have to.
I told Elsa.
And lots of food. That's Trevor. Trevor, come here. I know this is not going to be easy to you. This is Debbie, who worked with Granddad forever, and then she was my like I would go to work with Granddad, and she was my buddy. And she's like a super special, lives in Iowa, so the fact that she's here is amazing. But anyway, that's Trevor. What do you want? All right, we're gonna go get. I don't know where to get back to her, not at all. Like minimize that interaction, but right, exactly, of course. Okay. We're gonna get into on this makeup. Get a drink, get some food. Stay here. All right. Yes. Right. And I'm always hearing about the ladies too. Yeah.
What do you want? Wine?
My son's gonna, she's 12. Yes, for a while, I'm like, hey, that's how he's been doing a lot. Yes.
Well, it's pretty.
I know you used to love when I came. They do that. I can't
Yeah, but him, that was like really important to him to let all these people know. Just like, and I was like, yeah. There's like a million of them. Can you the cabinet in the dining room. Be careful when you open the door because there's like plates on them. So there's but anyway, I posted so that I knew how to space it. So my daughter came back with me because there's a bunch of things that are like things that like we had or people had when they were, you know, here with my mom. So she always had mac and cheese. So she wanted to make mac and cheese. I was like, go make mac and cheese. I don't need to worry about it. She did it. I was like, there's some nice things about this. But I never say like
Tea and
yes. That's not going to be that. I like that. You know, it's right. It's nice. I'm waiting for it.
We had a landscape, we had army tanks, and wonderful. But the neatest thing was you see the TV series, right? Picture this.
So she's here from Iowa? Carol, did not know. She was coming. Okay, I'm just going to be going home. Everyone else is like, yeah, I know.
Because what happened, that came up.
But anyway, she was coming. Like, let me have like I went to work with my dad, so I didn't think I was that.
And my boss and I sent temporary duty to the store team to staff.
And he's like, okay, go. Debbie's going to have more fun with you.
Exactly. Exactly. The Air Force had manpower. Whereas the Army still had their aid stations and cold medical.
But yeah,
We were handling here.
I know it's very thing. Oh, you do? But
I don't like it. You see everybody aircraft that go. You know why they built it? It's a Gatling gun. I met a really good aircraft. It's great. Trigger for the and just discharged about 3 seconds worth of ammo. He said you lose half your safety. He said recoil before you go to your shoulders. We built that.
and for me too.
We had
It
visions
gives
of the war zone running before the gap.
Virginia got in front of me.
Mom, yes. For you, that's all. Here's another one.
Any girl coming with a line in the bag. Scissors.
70 of us were stationed in the medical center line from Air Force Base in San Antonio.
You don't know what's happening.
let me run it.
And then plus my husband. He's coming here. There you go. So there we go.
We're trying to decide if we want to out of it. Yeah, he is definitely a nice impression.
I just isn't it? When they, like when she goes to drop him off and he sees us, that big smile. So he just turned a year last Saturday. Oh wow! So he just had this big smile and just
And to refer to that as a movement, describing it as describing the iceberg of Titanic. Because damn it, it they get tired of like first dancing or sliding down a hill.
So her mother watches him in summer that we have in custody, but he was so her mother had horses. My mother said she'll just work us. You don't want to wait. And we were so I was so upset. I was like, I have plans. I'm going to take him to the park. You know, I had plans the whole day. You know, my husband came home from work. He was like, where's Chase? I'm like, come today. So we feel like we have to go grab him this weekend because we can't wait.
We have never seen any evidence that happened.
Even close. It did not taste great.
Sweep up that whole street for the second.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna give it a go. I feel like we're gonna run out. My mom's was pretty full and mine was like this. That's gonna be the ground.
They made it like, it looked like a vodka cranberry. It wasn't, but it was.
It's kind of unfortunate that they fall together.
I can't get enough out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mom wants that's him.
Give it a, if yeah, I True. She's one of the people that had it all the time. People don't really have it. They're like, oh, that's nice. Oh, this is had it. We're
I think it was
I feel like there's so much stuff.
My tenants destroyed my house, so I have.
I know. I need like one extra picture thing here. I'll give
Houses have staircases. Because they occupy no floor space, get to upstairs, and they build the house in a sort of common fashion because they're eating you will not find a ranch house here because you couldn't eat it.
The place I'm gonna grab is over here, but anyway, and I'm only not even twice. So I'm like, this is really hard to give up, to go to Florida. And different things. Yes. Yes. Good. Yeah. I mean, right now, of course,
We already had a talk with our kids. They're fed up with it. We'll be gone. They can sell it. She's the one with the emotional attachment to it. I understand that. Because
That's the second. This is mom's recipe. No, it's just cooked ham. The garnish. Never shared. I don't even know if she
Yeah, they were trying to get them to get the volume.
recipe. I think she just said she wanted it to look like that kind of cookie. And that was basically
It tastes like it always did.
that's the recipe.
It tastes like it.
Okay. That's good. So yeah, like that you know. I know. Better how I say you Oh no, don't. It does. It comes so close. Yeah, it's all
it's like, that's it. Here, the bands are just starting at 9 o'clock, I'm sure. That's a whole different thing. It's okay. It's just midnight.
what it is.
It's gin based, right?
There's like there's a base and then there's things added to it.
Yeah.
But it just says it doesn't even say. It just says like when you see what is in it. It's very non.
Except when you say 25% alcohol.
Well, that's because that's if you had that. We're not drinking that. We're obviously adding to it.
I got my bag. I got my purse. Put it in one time. This was my little backyard. My hair you should have just picked one of those. And then when I got
last January. Yeah, about 10 months ago, that piece of the coast got hammered. It was a severe storm. Our friend, a member of the extended family who helps us look after our house up there, is down on the shore. That's what they refer to there as a camp. It's something that's inhabited 3 months or 3/4 of the year, every time except the dead of winter. I mean, it's basically a small building on the end of the water, and about half of the water away. We had pieces of that got surfing and the asphalt right off of big sheets, dumping it in the woods. But then I find out from talking to Chris, they figure commercial fishing piers are a major source of income, and therefore there'd be people up there to service them. Chris lost a commercial pier on his property that his dad had worked for his lobster business many years ago, obliterated it. It took 2 years to rebuild the pier.
Unwavering courage.
That's the backlog.
Despite the early loss of her husband Richard and the associated challenges she encountered, she remained steadfast in her commitment to her loved ones and her values. Throughout her life, Janet demonstrated unshakable strength, refusing to let difficulties define her. She showed us that even in the darkest times, there is always hope and always a way forward. Her legacy is one of love, selflessness, and determination. I remember her remarkable ability to find joy in the simple things, like tending to her beloved garden where she would nurture life and beauty amidst life's trials. Her love for her family was a constant source of inspiration, and her very special relationship she had with our dog Chesney was a pleasure to witness. As we say goodbye, we take comfort in the memories of her life, and we are reminded to cherish the time we had with her. For me, Crystal Light Lemonade will always remind me of her. We do have Crystal Light Lemonade here today. Let us honor her by keeping her spirit alive, sharing our stories and memories of her, and striving to emulate her resilience and devotion to those that she loved. May her life serve as a testament to the human capacity for courage, love, and perseverance, and may we all find inspiration from her remarkable journey. Rest in peace, Janet. Your love and legacy will never be forgotten. So, if anybody has a story you'd like to share, and if you're comfortable to come up and talk in the microphone in front of everybody, you're welcome to do so. And if you just prefer to share a story around the table that you like, you're welcome to do that too. But I just wanted to give the opportunity to be here. So the microphone will be here. If you want to come up and talk, step right up and talk. There you go. Thank you.
And I'm wondering, I wonder what his reaction is to that one.
Where's the microphone?
I'm just saying it, Daryl, if you really kind of silly. We're not gonna interrupt you
Or
mid-talk.
he took missiles over to 10F5. But when they're calling that a big, that's what they call skinny budget.
I'm Sharon Van Hook. My husband and I were longtime friends of Janet and Richard's. We moved to New Providence the same year, and we met each other at a newcomers club, and we found out that our husbands knew one another, but they did know each other. They were in the same business, and we developed a really, really close relationship with the whole family. We have 2 sons, and they had Laura and Chris, and we did a lot of things together, including holidays. And I remember Thanksgiving particularly, actually Christmas as well. I would make a huge turkey. Oftentimes we would have like 15, 20 people, so I would have a huge turkey. And Janet wanted to take the carcass home because she was great at making turkey soup. So she would take the carcass, and she would take my big soup pot, and she would actually make herself some turkey soup for her family, and she would make turkey soup for my family as well. And I would take whatever leftover turkey she left behind and make turkey pot pies for our families. One was for their family, and the other was for ours as well. And I have to tell you, our Thanksgivings have never been the same. We moved to Massachusetts in 2003, and we moved to North Carolina in 2015. We don't have the big parties anymore, and I don't make the big turkeys anymore. But I will always remember Janet's turkey soup and sharing that carcass. Hi, I'm Susan Christie, and I'm one of the 6 college girls that are here we went to Centennial College together. We met Janet in our freshman year, and I had the
on our Zoom call, everybody's at Zoom calls, you know, and they're friends. We were talking about her, and Janet really represented a through line in our lives. She was, she was really instrumental in keeping us together as a group. And so we wanted to do something to put in our alumni magazine. You know how those magazines come out and they talk about class news and what everybody's doing. So I had the joy of interviewing my friends and then putting together this memory of Janet. And so it's a little bit long, bear with me. Keep in mind that this is for the class news. It is with much love and sadness that we let you know of the death of our dear friend and classmate, Janet Dunstan, 75, on July 20th, 2024, when she passed peacefully in her sleep. We were a group of 7 forever. Janet, along with, and I will introduce my friends, Jane Halligan Kleskins, wave Jane, Beverly Wilson de Sabato, Karen Lagan McNamara, Jovita Barada Minich, me, Kathy DeZubin Scott. Okay. We decided on a recent Zoom call to share our memories of Janet here. We met in 5th Mara and formed our bonds quickly. Janet was self-assured, grounded, pragmatic. Our recollections from the college years are of a wise, more experienced, worldly classmate. She just always was. Susan was Janet's roommate for 2 years, and they were also English majors. They offered each other advice about boyfriends, shared the same references for their writing assignments, and had sincere affection and deep admiration for Sister Miriam Joseph, who was our major advisor. Jane recalls swapping clothes and going on double dates. They often went swimming and then would go to the tea room, which was the little cafe on campus, to eat, still damp under their raincoats. They sat up late and talked, and Jane felt that Janet looked out for her in a special way. Bev recounted the time when she was in the dorm at 3 a.m. working on an art project that incorporated toilet paper. Bev needed more paper, but she'd used all she could locate in the dorm. Janet showed up, went out and found some somewhere. Following graduation, Janet earned a Master of Library Science degree and worked as a children's librarian in Prince George's County. Kathy and Janet often met for lunch since their workplaces were only blocks apart. Janet loved gathering people together, and she threw the best parties in her apartment. I know there might be a few other people here who experienced one of those. Inviting friends from the Hill and St. Vincent and their significant others. And these gentlemen over here are from graduates of St. Vincent and spouses to the ladies here, and so they would have been to the parties too. People would stay late, and often they just crash on the floor. A few years later, Janet vacationed in England and met Richard Dunstan, a tall, red-headed Brit who loved cricket, and they married soon after. Janet loved living in England. She worked in a library, made many friends, rode horses. She invited friends to visit, so Jovita and her husband Paul were able to travel there to see them. When daughter Laura was born, Karen and her husband Bob went. People were just always going to see Janet or she coming to see us. Richard was eventually transferred to an office in Manhattan, and Jovita accompanied Janet in her search for a new house. Janet bought that house all on her own, you know, strong woman. Janet carried all she had grown to love about English language, culture, and food with her as they settled into their home in New Providence, New Jersey. One summer, family came to visit me in Ohio, where Richard taught my young boys what cricket was all about. They went to see Beverly in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, where Janet met Bev's new baby and fell in love with the name Christopher. Soon after, Janet and Richard welcomed their second child, their own Christopher. As before, Janet liked entertaining in her practical, non-fuss way. She served afternoon tea to visitors and hosted barbecues for family and friends in her large English garden featuring Pim's Cup cocktails we have been setting today. Janet was a frequent visitor to the Baltimore and D.C. area and wanted to meet for lunch with any Setonians in the area. She really was very good about reaching out to other classmates, other classes of Setonians. She was very proud of the institution. Richard Dunstan perished as the second trade tower collapsed on September 11, 2001. Life changed. Janet had always organized things and held us all together as a group. Now it was our time to support her. Javita and Paul went to one of the 9/11 ceremonies with her. I had the privilege of traveling into Manhattan and viewing the devastation of the site with her from the hotel lounge area reserved for survivors. She received calls, flowers, consolation from us, and from a wide circle of friends, and I'm sure many of you here. Even as she received our support, though, she gave it equally to us. She was a good listener and wanted to know what was going on in our lives. Javita noted the many late-night talks with Janet when she and Paul divorced, specifically one occasion when Janet offered this practical advice: always have something on the calendar, something to look forward to. If you know that kitchen table was Janet's central area, and that phone was always busy. In time she began visiting. She hired a car to drive her and Chris to tour D.C., and they visited Kathy. She went to Javita's house to celebrate her son's wedding on another occasion, her grandson's birthday. The family traveled to England and Hawaii often. Janet and Jovita attended my wedding in 2006. That was in Michigan. And later that year, we all attended Laura's wedding with our husbands and had the best time. That reception was legendary. After people retired, various combinations of the seven forever met for long weekends in Philadelphia, Savannah, and Charleston. As Janet slowed down with age, Chris was her companion and main caregiver. Following Janet's stroke, both Jovita and I had the honor again of coming and staying for a week in the summer to give Chris a break while we went on that European trip. A through line across our many lives is marked by our Seton Hill reunions. Janet attended every one of these reunions of the class of 1970, every 5 years, except the most recent one in 2021. Because Janet had planned early to attend and shared enthusiasm with us, we tried hard to attend too. Once there, we enjoyed precious hours visiting with each other, our classmates, and our teachers. We stayed in the dorms and spent, again, hours going through Janet's hefty photo albums. You've all seen them. Reliving those incidents mentioned above. Janet was the keeper of memories, and her photo albums are an archive of a hard-earned friendship. When we graduated, Father Bergoli's address to us, he was like the, what would you call him, the chaplain to our class. He referenced qualities we developed in our 4 years: caring, strength, and resilience. These were manifest in Janet Anthony Dunstan's life. She always made the effort to be present in our lives. She was the glue that kept us together. She steadied us through many of life's challenges. She loved Snoopy. She loved Javita's rice pudding. She loved her children and grandchildren. And she loved Seton Hill.
following that incredible speech because I cannot offer anything, but I feel on the behalf of the next generation, I just have to say just a few words and probably cry through them. My name is Sarah, and I grew up 2 houses away. And Laura is one of my oldest friends. I can still hear, and this is my spirit animal, her daughter. And I can still hear, and it was a very, very special place. And I'm so grateful to Laura and her family for choosing to have this event in this way. This is where I grew up. This is where I had my first sleepovers, the basement, before I knew what a bar was, but God, that basement's awesome. I was always welcome, and I have a younger brother who was good friends with Chris as well. And I just want to speak to the next generation. There were a handful of families on the street that raised each other's children. So I am beyond lucky to say that I too was raised by the Dunstans. I learned many things that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And we were always welcome. My family and my parents moved from this street 2 years ago. This is actually my first time back in New Jersey since leaving, and I can't imagine a better time to come home. But the doors were always open. I learned what bits and pieces means, which means leftovers. Help yourself to the bits and pieces. I was present at so many family functions, getting to know their family, being loved by their family. When I had children, Janet, Anna as well. And, you know, we are also lucky to have known her and be graced by her family. So thank you to Laura and Daryl for this beautiful day. Thank you all for coming and honoring this incredible, incredible woman that we know.
So I was not planning on coming up here, but I couldn't, talking about Clinton Avenue, and that was a perfect segue. My wife and I, Susan, John Oswald, we lived down the street on the corner of Clinton and George. But I think we didn't know the Dunstans really well, but when we moved here and every day I saw this brick going down the street with that brick walk looking perfectly like out of a movie. And I was like, what a great street. And then Laura babysitted our children a number of times. So we got to know a little bit, and we knew Janet, but we weren't as close as many. But during the last couple of years, knowing that she was older and a little bit declining, and Chris was here taking care of his mom alone, I'd knock on the door once in a while, and it was always wonderful to say hello to Janet. You could just feel her warmth, and just a great person. So I would stop in once in a while, and she would invite me in. And this is in the last year and a half. And it wasn't a lot, but I just come in and say, do you need something? Chris took very good care of her and was proud of that. And I didn't want to override him at all. But it was Janet would come in, sit down, and you could just talk to her. And just a friendly, warm spirit, and hearing about her and her strength. It was, I could see she was hurting. She couldn't move around like she used to, and it's not easy. It's not easy when your body goes. And she never complained. She was just wonderful and open, and I felt like I could just sit there and talk to her as a friend. that it was almost a shock to hear that she passed. We were with her. She kept that demeanor and kept her, she mentioned a little bit, but she kept that to herself. And you realize kind of it was an example to me of how to handle life. So we're so glad that the Dunstans came to the Providence and the little Arista for our wonderful street. So God bless you, Jack.
Here comes the gazelle.
Everybody will have to look down for me. After hearing everybody speaking about Janet, I feel like we're in a little note in her life. But for me, she was very important. We met the first day of library school at the University of Maryland on the steps of New York Great Advisor. And we became fast friends and later roommates there. And a couple of years later, we decided to take a vacation together. I think it was our first vacation after getting our jobs, and decided to do 3 weeks in Great Britain. Well, her cousin had been living in England for a number of years and had been engaged to this young man. They broke up, but it was a pleasant relationship. She kept in touch with him. And when she found out that Janet was going to England, she called her former fiancé and said, show her around when she's in London. Well, we met Richard and sat through an incredibly long cricket game one day. We were going to spend a week in London and then go to York to visit a friend of mine who was living there. And by Thursday, she said, I think something's going on with this young man. I'm going to stay the weekend. I'll meet you on the train going through York to Edinburgh, which is our next week's stay. Well, the train pulled in. She was waving out the window where she was, and when I got on board, she said, I've decided to move to England. Richard came to visit in October of that year. He and Janet stayed with me and my parents in Brooklyn. Then they went down to Baltimore and visited her family. And by December, she had moved, and she was married the following June. So I feel like I had something to do with them getting together. After that, I spent many vacations just going to London, visiting them, seeing the fight. And in fact, one trip, Laura was a baby, and we drove to Yorkshire to visit my friends, who Janet had never met because Laura, I'm sure does not remember this because she was an infant, but she slept in a drawer that night. In 1983, Neil and I got married, and Janet came to our wedding. That same visit, she found this house. Richard had been transferred to New York, and he told her, "Go house hunting, whatever you pick out, it's fine with me." And so they moved to New York, to New Providence. He got a job in insurance. He worked for a company in England in insurance, and we would come out to visit, to barbecue. We were an integral part of their life. And when Richard died, I was there at the memorial service for him, and there to support Janet. And we continue to have our barbecues every Labor Day weekend. Janet would put out her spread, and we had very good times. And I have to say, Janet was probably one of my closest friends, and she will be missed terribly, I believe. But